Sorry is the hardest word. Saying sorry can be so difficult at times, whether it's because we're convinced that we're right and we didn't do anything wrong, or we realize we did something wrong and we just don't want to admit it. For all of these different reasons and more, saying sorry can be so challenging at times. And yet, when we do say it, sometimes it's just to get the fight over, just so the other person that can forgive us. It's all about protecting ourselves when we apologize. But what if saying sorry was something more? What if it was an opportunity for growth? What if it was an opportunity not to stave off a fight, but actually improve a relationship? And we see that this possibility exists in our relationship with Hashem. In this week's parasha of Vayikra, the beginning of the book of Vayikra, Leviticus, we begin learning about the korbanot, the offerings to bring us karov, closer to Hashem. And they're given for different reasons, to say thank you for something, to celebrate a chag, a holiday that's coming up, and sometimes because we've made a grave sin, we've made an error, we've given into a failing, and we want to ask God for forgiveness. One of the most beautiful korbanot offerings is known as the oleh, literally to go up. And it's described here in one of the psukim in our parasha. And you take the different parts of this animal and you wash them in water. And the Kohen offers up. The Oleh one goes completely, it's totally burned up as we offer it to Hashem. But this is the key line here, one that many rabbis and scholars struggle with understanding. This thing which burns up, this fire here, is a reach, a smell which is nichoach, pleasant to God. And the reason it's so challenging is because Hashem doesn't have a nose. Hashem doesn't eat. So how can different smells be pleasing to Hashem? And all of the rabbis give slightly different answers, but one thing they do have in common is it's not about the actual smell. It's about the experience surrounding it. So Rashi and others suggest that perhaps the joy that Hashem feels is not the smell of the meat itself, but rather Hashem is overjoyed that we're fulfilling Hashem's mitzvot. But in this case, all of these are about how it brings joy to Hashem and not about what it's doing to help us. And we see in the 19th century, Rabbi Yaakov Tzvi Mecklenburg, in a beautiful commentary known as Haktavei Kabbalah, turns it around and says that perhaps the reason that Hashem is pleased is not because of what we're doing for Hashem, but how it helps us. So he talks about this oleh, which is burned up on the fire. And he talks about the one who brings the korban. The person who brings it shouldn't think that the whole point of it, that all we're doing here is he's just getting forgiven by God. He's getting kapara like Yom Kippur. If that's the goal of saying, sorry, just forgive me so I can move on, the person is missing something essential. Rather, he says the focus is on shehu atil la'asot, on the person's future actions. What does he mean here? So he goes on to bring in this beautiful image. He says, Ki kasher hareach hatov haba merachok, lo al hadavar be'atzmo heyoto tov. He says, just like this beautiful smell, like if you walk into a bakery and you're just hit by this delicious, overpowering smell of all these beautiful baking things, you know that there are delicious cakes and cupcakes waiting for you, but you get the smell first. You get the initial part of the experience, realizing something better will happen later. So he continues, so what he says is, just like the smell is telling you that something delicious is coming, so too this offering is kind of a sign, a precursor, that the person who offered it has learned something from their mistake, and they're no longer going to repeat this sinful action, and they're going to be a better person in the future. It's not about the moment and just saying, sorry, let's move on. It's about actually focusing on what they did and using this korban to actually improve their behavior. There's a beautiful article from a website, Very Well Mind, which is peer-reviewed by board-certified physicians. So it's a very high level of psychology and other health things, and an article written by Elizabeth Scott and Dr. Rachel Goldman. And they're talking about the power not just of apologizing, but sincere apologies. And they write here, a sincere apology allows you to let people know you're not proud of what you did and won't be repeating the behavior. That lets people know you're the kind of person who is generally careful not to hurt others and puts the focus on your better virtues rather than on your worst mistakes. And Haktavei Kabbalah, Rabbi Mecklenburg, later in his piece specifically says that the point of the korbanot is not just to get a slap on the wrist, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. It's really to think about how can you be a better person, how you can improve your midot. And the fact that Hashem gives us this opportunity, not just to be forgiven, but as an opportunity for growth. Literally, the Kabbalah talks about la'alot, the word to go up, to self-improvement, is really a beautiful thing. And that's key to every relationship. It's not just saying sorry, whether it's sincere or not, and hoping that it'll just end and then continuing the behavior. It's using it as an opportunity to admit that you did wrong and try and figure out why you did wrong and how you can make sure it doesn't happen again. And not just because you hurt the person, but because you want to be a better person for them. And that's the key. When we bring a korban to Hashem, we're saying we messed up, but you deserve better. We want to be better for you, Hashem. And that same love, care, and putting the other first is the same way that we should approach every one of our relationships. And that's the key of the word sacrifice. Sacrifice is giving up something because we're saying to the other, you matter more. You are more important. I'm not apologizing just because I want you to get off my back. I'm apologizing because I want to be better for you. We say this to God, and we need to say this to each other. And with that, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom and be well.